Hello, my name is Taquana Holly. I will be presenting the program evaluation for Safe and Sound Somerset. First, I would like to start by giving you a program synopsis. Safe and Sound Somerset is a community based program in New Jersey. The mission of the organization is to prevent and respond to domestic and sexual violence through the delivery of program activities that provide safety, support, and education to individuals, communities, and family members. The organization targets families who have been victims of domestic and sexual violence. Services are tailored to trans men and women, trafficked persons, prostituted persons, members of the LGBTQ community, those residing in rural areas, developmental disabled, deaf, and military. The organization provides comprehensive services through counseling, advocacy, outreach, and crisis response. The purpose of the evaluation is to examine effectiveness and efficacy. The purpose is to examine the organization to explore if the needs of the targeted population are being met by the services provided. It is looking to make judgments and hold the organization accountable for the services provided. In order to facilitate that, we need to identify the stakeholders. The stakeholders are those individuals that have a vested interest in the program evaluation. Truby 2020 indicated that internal stakeholders function as change agents and change recipients, while external change holders assist in strategic planning and developing other relationships. With that being said, the internal stakeholders identified for this program evaluation are the 9 members of senior management that include the chief executive officer. The external stakeholders identified for this program are those individuals that have collaborative relationships and partnerships with the organization, such as the New Jersey Division of Child and Permanency, as well as the law enforcement agencies and Somerset Public Health Department and Social Services Department. To facilitate the development of the evaluation report, as well as the development of the evaluation questions, there needs to be an examination and the development of the logic model. The logic model provides a visual representation of the program. Through this logic model, we see that we identify the inputs, which are the resources we need to get the activities up and running, and then we look at the products from those activities. Based on those 3 entities, we develop outcomes that are short term, intermediate, and long term. This provides a visual guide to help us come up with evaluation questions. These evaluation questions are the crux of what the program evaluation report is going to be geared towards. Using these evaluation questions, it allows us to identify data sources that will provide the information we need to find the answer to the questions. The data sources that were identified for this report are financial reports, impact reports, other reports that provide collateral information, as well as reports that provide quantitative and qualitative information. The methods grid and the evaluation stakeholder members were developed in connection with the evaluation questions. These were based on different processes where we looked at the indicators for performance, the methods that we want to utilize, data sources, frequency, and responsible persons. This was used to increase reliability and validity of the information within the report and to gain more than just yes or no information. We wanted to gain robust information that can be used to justify conclusions. With this in mind, we had to consider potential barriers to our data sources. The first risk factor we had to identify was potential biases, especially when we only had one data source to utilize. Another important barrier we had to consider is the credibility of data, especially when we are obtaining objective and subjective information from participants. It is also important to note that some information from some of the data sources may be incomplete, which can lead to erroneous misinformation. This is going to be critical as we come from the recovery phase of the pandemic, where some data collection and information may be missing. When we looked at the evaluation questions, we can hypothesize some potential answers to the questions that we need to consider. Some of those potential answers to the questions are is how do we reach a larger targeted group? We expand interpretation services and increase campaigns. How do we know that we are meeting the needs of the targeted population in its correlation to the mission and values? Well, we look at the individuals that we served. We look at the overall totality to see if there has been increases in service provision. How do we know that the targeted population is happy with the services that we provide? Well, by reviewing the testimonials, case studies, we can see if the targeted population is happy. If we looked at overall responses to crisis counseling and advocacy, we can also see if increased service utilization because more and more people are coming. When we look at resource utilization and how we are allocating everything, if we look at our overall positive gains within the organization, noting that we there hasn't been a loss of any money, we actually are making money and going above profit. And then if we want to look to see if we're meeting our outcomes, we can look at our collaborations and initiatives with other organizations, because the more positivity and the more impact you have, the more people will want to work with you. In order to facilitate the dissemination of information from our evaluation and report, it is important to develop a communication plan. The communication plan helps to identify targeted audience. The goal is to review communication related to the evaluation of Safe Sound Somerset. We want to increase awareness of services, resources, and effectiveness of the organization's activity through the evaluation report. We need to consider who our targeted audience are. If they are members who are concerned with social justice, have experience with domestic or sexual violence, or vested in public health program functionality. The target audience is also selected based on impact and potential engagement in the report findings. The selection and tools of utilization was based on potential size of the targeted audience, accessibility, and potential responses. Using the communication plan, the hope is that the final evaluation results reach the target population who can most effectively use to share results, lessons, and recommendations for program improvement and decision making. When we look at communication tracking, the main goal of this piece is to hold people accountable for follow up, and it creates an avenue of responsibility. The tracking chart provides a mechanism for the various goals, tools, and frequency in interacting with the targeted audience from our communication plan. It is the responsibility of the program evaluation team and the evaluation stakeholders to make sure everyone is aware of the dissemination strategies and to keep everyone on task. When we look, and if I had to critique the overall organization based on the findings and the hypothesized answers to the evaluation plan, the one thing that I see is that there has been a drastic increase in different type of collaboration. They've expanded on services where they're partnering up with the prosecutor's office and Somerset County Jail to respond to strangulation response in prison systems. They are increasing educational awareness on sexual violence among the LGBTQ community. There has been more than double utilization in the emergency shelters and hotline services, and they have increased education for the community and have specifically targeted younger adults and students to help them learn about healthy relationships as well as the signs of domestic and sexual violence. The goal is to increase awareness as well as increase education. For the future of this program, I've had several recommendations that I would like to provide. The first recommendation is to collaborate with local organizations, community centers, school, and health providers to raise awareness about the program and to reach a larger audience. This could be through distributing informational materials and conducting joint workshops or events. Develop targeted outreach campaigns to reach specific populations within the targeted audience, such as adolescents, minorities. This can be used by developing culturally appropriate messaging and different communication channels. Another recommendation would be to increase online presence, enhance the program presence through user-friendly website and social media platform and digital advertising. They are Instagram and Facebook, but the information doesn't seem to be as robust as it can be. If we utilize this avenue, it can increase visibility and accessibility to individuals who may prefer online services. Another recommendation would be to launch public awareness campaigns to educate the general public about domestic and sexual violence, as well as the services offered at Safe and Sound Somerset. This can be done through media engagement, public service announcement, community events. I also think there needs to be a more encouragement of program participants to share their stories and experiences. The overall goal I think that can be accomplished through this is that it can build trust and credibility within the community about the services that are offered by the organization Safe and Sound Somerset. This concludes my presentation on the program evaluation. Attached, please see my references, and if you have any questions or concerns, please stop by and let me know.